Welcome to 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. As always, I'm your host, John J. Ransom Futrell. So today, I had a few ideas of originally what I wanted to speak about. One was telling a story. Another was building a brand versus building an audience or growing an audience. Another one was just about fighting the demons of insecurity. So I'm gonna try to do kind of like a mashup, if you will, of the three subject matters. Not necessarily. We're going to just kind of. I didn't really organize this one as normal because I kind of wanted to just speak on the subject matters from the top of my mind, or quote unquote from the heart. So the first thing I want to speak about is building a brand versus building an audience, or trying to gain an audience. What's the difference? Well, rather than going into full detail, because I know a lot of other channels and people always talk about it, what is your brand? Well, there's you as a person, and that's your personal brand, which has a lot to do with your character and the moves and the actions that you make when living your dreams. That's extremely important, just because that's what helps open doors for you or get you into doors. Your character is your destiny at the end of the day. Whatever your character is, however you conduct yourself, will ultimately dictate significant circumstances that you're in. If you're the type of person that carries yourself a specific way, certain situations may not be best for you, if you understand what I'm saying. It's like being that type of person that has kind of a chip on their shoulder but doesn't know how to use that chip to their advantage. Instead, the chip it comes across as an attitude. Being that type of person can ruin a lot of business and ruin a lot of opportunities that you could possibly have. So that's what I mean by character is destiny. But your brand also, like say for instance me, J Ransom is my brand. JAC Media and Promotions is an extension of the J Ransom brand, although the J Ransom brand is under JAC Media and Promotions because that's my company. And then there's www.iamkingpoetic.com under the J Ransom branch, which is also under the company. Then you have www.blackversusblack.com, which is another aspect of the brand. Like, I own, in particular, 6 websites. Technically 5 are active at the moment. Each are separate aspects of the brand, or aspects of my own brand. This podcast is part of my brand. Although, for me, like I said, and I always say, this is more me lending my time or quote-unquote volunteering rather than it being something that I'm looking to use as a way to make my career go any further than where it is. Although, anything is possible. But that's my brand. That's, my brand also includes me being a creator. Like, I call myself a creator. I don't call myself an artist. I do art, but I prefer creator. And one of the reasons for that is because I create multiple things, and not necessarily is everything that I create art. There's a lot of ideas and things that could be patented. There's a lot of leftover drawings, and there's a lot of things. So it's like I didn't want to limit myself to being just an artist. To me, that would be foolish, and actually be a slap in my own face for the amount of things that I truly do, enjoy to do, love to do, and I feel like a part of my soul. But yeah, J Ransom is, the creator, the author, the businessman, the songwriter, the musician, producer. All that is J Ransom. What does that have to do with me building an audience? Well, in particular, in this day and age, our audience depends on our personality. That's the reality of it. We're in a society that's really fixated on the celebrity mindset of an audience, meaning that people close to you, friends, family, whoever, may not understand who or what your brand represents, but they judge your success based on your audience or the amount of audience that you have, which is completely foolish and ignorant. But media has kind of made that a reality for us. In particular, social media, as far as the numbers of people that's following us and things, things like, for example, this show on SoundCloud, in which I barely use, I only use it for the feed for this show. I don't promote. So on a podcast, you may see 10 listens, 7 listens, 4 listens, 5 listens, and not fully understand or comprehend that that's strictly on SoundCloud. You're not including my website. We're not including iTunes. There's numbers that people aren't seeing that I see. And once again, like I said, it's really not about that, but that's just an example. Like, you'll see 5 plays on SoundCloud, but then when I go to my website, you see 100 or a couple hundred. It's things of that nature. My audience, and I know this for a fact, go to my website. My audience is going to pay attention more to my website than they're going to pay attention to my SoundCloud, because I don't push that. My audience is going to pay attention more to my Instagram and Twitter than they're going to pay attention to my Facebook, because I barely use Facebook. That's the reality of it. Although Facebook has great engagement, and actually the views of YouTube videos on Facebook, this is just a little gem for you. The views on social media from your videos, if you do a YouTube channel or whatever like that, actually counts more in the YouTube statistics of actually boost your popularity, just so you know. So that's just a little tidbit. But yeah, man, audience is really based more on your personality. Like, for instance, my audience comes in various ways. Like, some people will engage in my work based upon small quotes or poetry that I put on Instagram. That's one aspect of my audience. Another group of people will come for graphics I'll do. Another group will come for videos I'll do, and another group will come for music. But overall, all that points to my personality. That's where my audience comes from, and that's where majority of our audiences come from, especially if you're an individual. They come from who we are as people, which means we run the risk of either attracting a lot of people or turning away a lot of people. I can be extremely blunt and be an extremely opinionated person at times, so I push away some people. That just comes with the game. That's how it is. Now, as my brand, what I represent, I feel personally, and this could be my ego talking, I feel like my brand represents me pretty well, and it represents me to my audience very well, which will bring opportunities and has brought opportunities in the past. So those two things you have to be very careful about. Be very careful about your character, and be very careful about what you want your audience to see. It can go a little further. I could say things, about how using vulnerability is an easy way to kind of grab people and things of that nature. But it's like, a lot of you have heard that before. It's kind of whack to kind of keep repeating the same shit that people have said. I try not to do that, although I know I do it at times. But just understand the difference between the two. And now from that, let's take it kind of to storytelling. what the hell is storytelling? Well, since this is once again something that a lot of people talk about, which before I even go into that, I want to clearly say this or state this. I will be changing subject matters to a certain extent for the podcast, and not make it all about business and art. I mean, overall, it'll still involve or be about living your dreams, but I kind of want to take it to a little bit of a higher level. After probably the 10th show, I'm probably going to take a little bit of a break because I'm working on 4 or 5 projects at the current moment, and we're going to take it to another level. That's all I can say at the current moment. I don't want to put it out there yet, but we will be taking it to another level. Now, back to what I was saying. Telling the story. Telling the story it's a unique thing. And the reason it's unique is not because it's being said by everyone. It's unique because this is a way to mesh your character and personality. This is a way to build your brand and build your audience. It's like when someone goes to your Instagram, that's probably one of the easiest ones I can use. What do they see? What are your pictures telling them? Are your pictures in all black and white? Are your pictures in high definition? Are your pictures in color? And then what's the progress? Is it something planned out, or is it based strictly on what you're feeling or whatever your thought is? Are you promoting something, or are you just posting random things? Do people see your website when they look at your bio and what you do, or do they just see, the typical zodiac sign who you're in a relationship with and things of that nature? What quotes are you using? What are you reposting? What type of videos are people seeing? Are people seeing everyday life, or are they seeing motivational videos? Like, you're telling the story of your brand, and you're telling the story of who you are as a person. That's really what telling the story is about. You're showing your audience your character. You're introducing them to your brand and your personal brand. You're telling people exactly who your brand is and what it represents. That's what telling the story is about, in my opinion. There's various ways to say it, various ways to look at it, but that's really telling the story. It's not necessarily creating this illusion of what your life is. It's more about using whatever it is in your life to really tell people or show people exactly what they're dealing with. Like when you go to someone's page, what does it say? That's the story. And sometimes we tell more about ourselves than we think we are. So keep that in mind. Probably in a later episode, I may go into that a lot deeper. I'm not really sure. I kind of don't want to give you nothing too lukewarm as far as talking about that. However, I didn't want to. I feel like this last subject matter is a lot more important or significant, perhaps just to me. The reason is I will be 100% honest to say in the last couple of days I've been in a kind of a foul mood. I was actually supposed to do this podcast yesterday and have it up for you. But here's the reason I was in a foul mood. I was thinking to myself about a lot of the subject matters I spoke about. Not full-fledged believe everything. I live them. But I also make the mistakes, or I also don't follow my own advice at times. And that's based more on my personality or whatever personal circumstances are going on. But I was doing something foolish, and I was questioning my progression as far as living my dreams. I found reasons to blame other people. I found reasons to be extremely angry and have this extreme chip on my shoulder. The good thing that came out of it was music. The bad thing that came out of it was I had to snap back into reality. I had to really look at myself and say, what the hell are you doing? The reality is that we live in a society that rushes us based upon age. We compare ourselves to other people, which is probably the worst thing we could possibly do. Um, and I think for me, to a certain extent, I was comparing myself to other people that I feel were more successful than I am, that may be my age or a little bit younger. Um, but I lost sight of everything that I've accomplished and did. So that's something I want to really speak about, because I can also admit that's possibly a I want to say insecurity to a certain extent, but it's not necessarily an insecurity. It's more of a result of mentally being exhausted and allowing critics or people. It's allowing the naysayers and doubters to get to me. Let's be 100% real about it. It's allowing that to get to me, because one of my main issues is I'm an unforgiving person when it comes to stuff like that. That's just who I am. Like, I really don't forgive people when they say things slick and out of their mouth about me or what I'm doing, especially if they're not helping. Like, I really have a problem with forgiving people that do that. And after a while, I mean, it's also because, like, look, this is basically what happened. So Tuesday night into Wednesday, I'm up all night working on this music, working, doing these songs, writing, coming up with concepts and all these things. I didn't go to bed until 10 in the morning the next day. So I take a nap. I wake up around, I want to say 12 or 1. And I start thinking of all these things. Instantly stopped liking the music I was making. Stopped liking the concepts. I stopped liking where I was going in particular. It wasn't about whether the music was good. It was about, was this the message I want to put across? Was this good enough? Me talking about, was this good enough? It's not like I'm a celebrity. But that's why I felt like, yo, is this shit good enough? Is this where I want to take it? Is this strong enough? Is this the best representation of what I can do? Then it became that chip on the shoulder. It became, these people don't believe, they don't understand, they don't get it. And I'm not talking about my audience, the people that support me. I want y'all to know that it's not about y'all. It's more about personal relationships, and the things that go through my mind are the things that people say. Like, people say little slick things to me, and it really does get to me at times. Like, and I mean, it doesn't get to me to the point where it's like I get angry, I want to fight. It gets to me where it's just like I have that I'm gonna prove you wrong mentality. And like I was saying in a few other shows, it's not exactly a great thing to have, and that can't be your only motivation. It's good to use as motivation, but it cannot be your only. If that's your only motivation, like, you're setting yourself up for failure. Because what happens when you do prove them wrong? Now back to what I was saying. So I had this huge chip on my shoulder, and I'm just like, in my head, I'm just like, yo, F this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, blah, 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 blah. I don't really care. I'm going to work as hard as I can, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm hyping myself up and all these things, but I'm in, like, the worst mood ever. Like, my energy was horrible. And I had to look at myself and think, like, yo, look, I'm 28 years old. Like, I'm acting like I'm in my 40s or 50s, and not to say anything about anyone that's in that age group at all. Don't get it twisted. But I'm basically, I was rushing life. That's the reality of it. I was rushing life. I was rushing my goals. And I personally felt disrespected by a lot of people. A lot of people that probably don't even know that they've disrespected me, or may have a clue but don't really get it. Because to be 100% honest with you, I've maybe spoken to maybe two, excluding like family that I'm on the same block as, maybe 2 people within the last week and a half. Yeah, possibly 2 people, maybe 3. I don't really count that. I mean, on a consistent 1 person. That's my cousin and business partner. But other than that, like, I haven't really spoken to anyone else. Just because I can replay in my mind things that people said, and I remember that. Like, I fully remember it. Like, it's in my head to the point where it's just like, I don't look at certain people the same. Especially when it happens more than once. Like, I can't look at you the same at that point because you've showed me your character and your personality. And that was on me yesterday to get over that. Once again, the result was great music. I've made some great fucking music yesterday. And to be honest with you, to get over myself, I had to raise my vibration by taking a walk into nature. That is one of the things that calms me down to a certain extent. It allows me to think about the foolishness that's going on in my mind and need, and the amount of energy that I'm spending on. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm spending probably too much energy on talking about this now, but it allows me to look at the amount of energy that I'm spending on something as useless as someone else's opinion of what it is that I'm doing or how I should be doing what I'm doing. And who, like, I think more than anything, false supporters, I think, get on my nerves the most. Someone who's a false supporter, someone that always says they support you, haven't bought a single, haven't shared a link, like a real link. Like, I'm not talking about sharing a podcast. I'm talking about my artwork. Or if you see me put out a video, share the video. I'm talking about that type of shit. Like, instead, they want to pretend they're supporting. And it's just like, that right there to me is the worst type of person. It's like, if you don't support it, don't pretend that you support it. Keep it real. Like, for real. Like, keep it real. Like, you don't support. You know what I mean? Like, it's more respected for you to completely not support, in my opinion, than to pretend that you do. That's just my opinion. But yeah, took a walk in nature for me, to really get my mind right, and stop allowing the foolishness of others and the pressure that I've created for myself, because I kind of thrive in pressure, to kind of cease to a certain extent. But I know shit's like a rant, but all I want to say is this, man. Like, whatever you go through or deal with, just understand I go through it too. And it's not easy living your dreams. It's not easy at all. It's not easy to work for yourself. It's not easy to be your sole motivation. It's not easy to force yourself to get up. And it's not easy to stay up a lot longer than you want to try to get things done. It really isn't. I mean, I can bullshit you and act like it is, but it's not. I mean, I can bullshit you and tell you I never cried over the things that I wanted or how hard shit appeared to be. Sometimes you gotta let it out. Sometimes you get emotional. Sometimes, because there's some happy tears and then there's the sadness tears or anger tears. I think I've had more anger tears than anything. But you have to realize that it's up to you to endure. It's up to you to deal with it, put up with it. It's up to you to progress. At the end of the day, it's about the strength that you have. So if you're out there listening, man, I just hope that what I said, you can at least pick up a few jewels from it. I know that I could have spoken more about branding and building an audience. I know I could have spoken more about storytelling. So I apologize for that. But I felt like I needed to kind of let them things out and say what needed to be said, in my opinion. Just because I know there's someone out there that's probably going through the same thing, if not have been through the same thing. So I'm just hoping my story or what I'm talking about or what I'm speaking about on all these podcasts reaches you. At the end of the day, man, like, keep living your dreams. Do whatever it takes to kind of allow positive energy to reach you. Don't allow the negativity to fully get to you, and don't become immersed in that, man. So as always, peace and love. This is Jay Ransom, or rather John J. Ransom Futrell, but fuck that, you know that already. This is Jay Ransom, man. Have a great day, great week. Stay motivated and live your fucking dreams, man. Peace and love. I am divine.